Hey, hey, you hear Jess barking? You know what time it is. It's mule and donkey time. Yes, this is the only place in the world where a dog welcomes you to a conversation all about mules and donkeys. Absolutely. My name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards. We are live. I can tell you it's July 18th, 2023, 3 p.m. my time. That means it might be a little bit different your time, but it's the top of the hour, and that means it's the top time to talk mules and donkeys. We have Mr. Steve Edwards back with us live after celebrating 55 years of marriage, which is a phenomenal thing. Steve, I'm behind you. I'm at 17, but I'm making my way there. So, 55 years. What'd you all wind up doing?
Well, we went up to Woods Canyon, Willow Springs Lake, which is about 3 hours from here.
About a quarter mile away from Woods Canyon Lake, if I recall.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we took our toy hauler up there and our kayaks, and we played games, and we enjoyed 83-degree weather with the breeze blowing.
Now, some folks might say, "Oh, well, that's what it is here, where you live all the time." No, where we are at right now, folks, it is ungodly. Weather, it's 114 degrees right now. Tomorrow, it's meant to be 116 out here in Chandler, Arizona. 117 Thursday and Friday, and then it cools off a little bit back down to 114. Of course, it's a few degrees cooler out where Steve's at. But did you measure the temperature on the ground, Steve?
I'm looking at the temperature right now. The atmospheric condition is 100 degrees, and on the ground it's 138.
Yeah, so there you go. Y'all just
Dave,
keep your shoes on.
Dave. My pronoun.
Oh, here we go.
My pronoun is saved by grace, but I want to be known as child of the living God.
There you go. And they have to call you that.
That's right.
That's right. They've got to call you that. Folks, we are so glad that you're here with us, hanging out with the man who is saved by grace and a child of the living God, of which I am also. We're glad that you're spending a little bit of time with us. We know that you could be doing a lot of different things with your time. The fact that you would spend July 18th here watching live, or if you're watching the replay, wherever it is you are, whenever it is you are, it really does mean a lot to us. So thank you for spending time with us. If this is your first time ever hanging out, you already see it in the chat section, but I'm going to tell you, there's really only 3 things we ask. Number 1 is what folks are already doing in the chat, and that's share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like today. So I shared my name, Steve's name. We're watching from Arizona, and the weather is terrible today. So what's your name, where are you watching from, and what's the weather like for you today? Give us something to dream about other than 130-degree temperatures on the ground. Steve, I got one of those temperature checks, I don't know what temperature guns, you know what I'm talking about? Yep. I got one of those because I got a griddle. I bought a Blackstone griddle, and so I've been making smash burgers, which has been a lot of fun. I've done some breakfast, bacon, eggs. It's been really, really fun, but I didn't know how to measure the temperature. So I got one of those thermal guns, and now, it's like 400 degrees, 380 degrees. So I know exactly where the temperature is on the griddle surface. Well, my boys, 6, 9, and 11, they think that is just the greatest thing since cupcakes. And so now, all day, every day, they're running around the house. How hot is this wall? They're running around the house. How hot is the TV? They're running around the house. How hot is Dad's temper right now? Like, they're measuring everything. And so we told them, we're like, hey, go outside, measure the asphalt. And they didn't know what that was. They're like, the street, the black stuff where people are walking. And it was like 142 degrees or something like that on the asphalt. And it was they're like, that's hot. We're like, yeah, don't go. That's why we say don't go out there without your shoes on, man. You'll burn your feet right off. So name, where you're watching from, what the weather is like. Second thing we ask is that you help us with this program. And the way you do that is by sharing any and every mule or donkey question that you have in the comment section. This program is guided by you. This program is directed by you. And I'll tell you what, if we can't help you get the answers that you're looking for, we may as well just pack this thing in, because that's why we're here. It's to help you get results when you get out there and start training. So if you've got one on your brain right now, go ahead, put it in the comment section. We will answer it. There's no question that's a dumb question. There's no question that's too elementary or too inexperienced, or any question that we've been asked too many times. Matter of fact, this will happen multiple times in a broadcast. I am doing lots of different things while Steve's talking. So sometimes I hear exactly what Steve says. Sometimes I don't, because I'm reading or responding to somebody else. So we'll get done with a question. We'll come back and I'll ask the next question. And Steve will be like, well, that's what we just talked about, Dave. That's the exact same answer. I'll be like, oh, okay. So then I tell the person, I send them a message like, hey, watch all of this section because it's relevant. There's no question that gets asked too many times. Matter of fact, we are in the process of creating a catalog of we're turning Steve into AI. We are creating a catalog of all of Steve Edwards' videos, clipped down into 60-second, 90-second, 120-second, 3-minute clips. And you can go to muleranch.com, get yourself a membership, and then you can search feed, and there will be dozens of videos popped up sharing with you everything that Steve has ever talked about as it relates to feed. So ask those questions, no matter what they are. Ask them. We'll get you the answer, and the answer will be useful for other people in the future. That's the second thing. Third thing we ask is that you share the broadcast with friends and family. It's real easy on YouTube and Facebook. There's a share button. There's a subscribe button. There's follow buttons. Click them all. And then when you're done, put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comment section. So let's say hello to Merlin Olson, Northwest Minnesota, about 70 degrees and light rain. Judy is watching from Gazelle, California, clear and around 92 degrees. Daryl and Bobby Joe are watching from Birmingham, Alabama. Sunny, hot, 98 degrees with a boatload of humidity. Yep, ain't no one's hair look good right now in Birmingham, Alabama. Dave is watching. Happy anniversary, child of the living God, Dave O'Brien. Hello from East Texas, 100 degrees and humid. Still working on the Surcingle and the Martingale. It's a slow process. Steve, is it supposed to be a slow process? Ain't he supposed to just go out there and wave it around and it starts working?
Yeah, we want it to be a slow process. Look, folks, when you're building a foundation for a colt, like Dave is doing, they don't have the click, I got it. They got the click, fast, run, and take off. That's natural for them. But just, you know what? Enjoy these animals, folks. Just enjoy. Let it be slow. Take your time. Ease it back. Kick it back. You folks, got these mules so that you can get away from the world. All the pronouns and nouns and you know, whatever they may be, all right, which is foolishness. That's another story. Anyway, take your time. Enjoy these things. It's not like that you got to get it trained for somebody in 90 days. No, just relax. You're right. It is slow. It's enjoyable. But it's more fun to watch your mule learning and you learning than it is to sit down in front of that boob tube. Yeah, yes, sirree, you know. So you just enjoy, Dave. I'm glad. I know you enjoy working on that colt, and let it go. You know, some days it's going to be just right, and other days you're going to think, "I thought I taught you that 5 months ago." Sound like kids, doesn't it?
Yes. Takes one to know one. Let's see here. Scott is watching from South Carolina, 95 and humid. Christina is watching from, hey, here we go, British Columbia, Canada. It's a nice July day. Thank you for taking us international, Christina. Myra is watching, but it's hot, but not as hot here in Southern California as it is for you in Arizona. Jack is watching from Johannesburg, Michigan, about 75 and overcast. Lots of bear tracks this summer. Steve, did you get drawn for anything this summer?
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, my birthday is August 3rd. And August 3rd, my son and I are climbing in my truck, pulling my toy hauler, and we are going up to northern Kaibab, which is the northeastern part of the Grand Canyon, and the largest free-ranging buffalo are running in that part of the canyon. Now, it's national park. There's a fence line, and there's a national park. We cannot go on the national park to hunt. but we hunt on the forest side, which is Kaibab Forest Service. So I do have a cow buffalo tag, and I was really blessed by it because one person turned it in, said they didn't want the tag. So Game and Fish calls me up and says, "You're next in line." I have been waiting almost 15 years to get this tag, and now I'm blessed to get it. So, man, we're going to go. And the best part about it, I get to spend time with my son. Yep, it's going to be good.
Fantastic. All right, first question of the day. This one comes from Lynn. Hi, Steve. I have a 2-year-old mini mule, Toby, whom I've had since 1 month old. My first mule, I'm assuming she means since Toby's been 1 month old, not since she's been 1 month old. My first mule, as I've had horses all my life, I must say, this experience so far has been very rewarding. Mule mentality is so different than a horse. I've read and studied everything I could find and to learn about these creatures. He is 39 inches, so my plan is to get help to teach him to drive. Our daily routine is grooming, lunging, or going for a walk, long walks in the woods to Sassafras River. He yields to pressure in front and rear, backs up, spins on cue, training him to pony with my paint gelding. When he came to our farm one day, I have given him one-on-one daily attention. Recently had my vet out to evaluate his body score. I'm worried about the weight gain from all I'm reading. Just got a green guard muzzle. Hope he will keep it on? ? My goal is to have this boy well socialized and a good citizen, as I know he will outlive me, and I want him to have a good life. I love your videos and so glad to have found your site. Thank you. Any advice here to Lynn, Steve?
Lynn, you know, I hear you about the feeding. I'm going to say if there's ever a problem that's most prevalent in the mule and donkey world is people overfeeding their donkeys. You know, you're not raising this thing for 3 years and then butchering it, or 2 years and butchering it, whatever, to where they have to be on pasture all the time. You've got a young donkey there, and it is extremely easy to founder one. Extremely easy to grass founder one. Folks, don't listen to these people who say they won't overeat. Oh, yes, they will. Now, they won't overeat like a horse does, but you put ice cream in front of me, I have been known to overeat, okay? You put green grass in front of a donkey or a mule, they will overeat, and it's not good for them. You know, I was reading the other day where a lady said she's riding in a hackamore so her mule can eat more grass along the trail. Folks, you know, that's not good. It's not good at all. You're going to run into some mega problems down the road. You're going to be with a bunch of people who want to go riding, and your mule, all the thing he wants to do is go eat him. So, and besides that, he don't need it. Folks, as soon as you open that gate, we're done with eating. No more. This is completely 110% focus on me. It's already easy for them to eat. It's natural for them. They want to chew, okay? It's good for their teeth, good for the digestive system. But they do not need to be out on a pasture. Put them in a 20 by 20 pen, even your small little mule there, put him in a 20 by 20 pen and feed him accordingly. Folks, your health of your mule is extremely important. You cannot tell by looking out there in the pasture at his road apples on the ground. Yes, road apples tell you how healthy your mule is and your donkey. Yes, you got a place for them to drink, but no, you can't keep an eye on how much water they are drinking. So if you put them in a corral, you can keep track of their feed, their water, their road apples, and this sort of thing, and they will be healthy. And you can feed them accordingly, because as soon as you start training them for pulling a cart, now we have to feed them for pulling a cart. Now, when I was, cowboying really heavy and I was young, I could eat anything I wanted, because I would burn the energy as quickly as I ate it. Okay, but today I eat something and my chest fell to my drawers, Dave.
Boom. All right. Well, let's keep moving. Let's see here. I almost skipped someone. Matthew is watching from Lexington, North Carolina, where it's sunny and 90 degrees. Tamar is watching from Elora, Queensland, Australia, International. It's foggy and cold here, 8 a.m. That's usually how I feel at 8 a.m. in the morning. Sherman Johnson is watching Johnson Taxidermy, Norman, Oklahoma, 99 and humid. Jim is watching from Western Maryland, 74 degrees. Kimberly Gallagher is watching, Maryland, hazy, hot, and humid. Marty is watching, hello. Just got back from riding the Lizard Head Pass on Colorado's San Juan Mountain Range. Have you done that pass, Steve?
Yes, I've been there. Oh, yeah, I've been there, done that.
Very good. Thank you, Marty. Send pictures. Lori is watching, sunny and 77. Very light breeze in Fowlerville, Michigan. Diana is watching from Chico, California, 97. Mary is watching from Northwest Missouri. Susan is watching from Western Pennsylvania. Much clearer today. Yesterday, smoke from Canada fires. Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot from my friends up in the Northeast. Let's see here. Joy is watching, Jay, my name is Jay. I'm in Wilkesville, Ohio, and the weather is hot. My question is, my mule throws his head up and around in a circle a lot. Also, I have a Molly mule that does the same thing, I noticed. It mainly happens when we are riding downhill. Steve, is the animal crazy or is the animal trying to communicate?
Okay, so that helps. So when the animal is going down the hill and he's throwing his head up, he's trying to get away from the pressure of the saddle hitting on the scapula. Okay, so when he throws his head up, that hollows out his back, and that keeps that saddle from banging a little bit. But that still doesn't fix the problem, okay? So all he's trying to tell you is, we got a problem here, and it hurts, it's bothering me, all right? So how do we fix it? Number one, are you riding in a breeching or a crooper? Number two, when you adjusted your saddle, you adjusted it to flat ground. Very, very important, folks. This is extremely important. You adjusted it to flat ground. Now, when you're going down a hill, your mule becomes going, let's just say he's 5 foot long, and now he's going down a hill, and now he's 4'6" long. Why is that? Because he gets his back end up underneath and holds himself back to help balance himself going down the mountain. Here's the problem. You adjusted the breeching and the saddle to flat ground. When you're getting ready to go down a real steep mountain, now I'm not talking about little rolling mountains, all right? Little where it goes pretty easy. You're going to have to adjust your breeching, your saddle according to your terrain. Well, Steve, that's a lot of work. Then get bucked off. Oh, did I say that? Yeah. Oh, Steve, that's a lot of work. Then go ahead and make your mule's back sore, and you can't ride, and then blame it on the saddle. And it's not the saddle all the time. Okay, it can be the saddle, and that's the biggest percentage of the problem. But going down hills, your mule is throwing his head. He is saying, your saddle is banging on my scapula, okay? Now, even my saddle will do that, okay? It will, even though the front of the bar is curved up, simply because you didn't take the time to adjust the breeching and reset the rear cinch. And folks, about this, your breeching balances the saddle. It does not hold the saddle back. If it did, you would wear a hole in your mule's hind end from that breeching. The one that holds your saddle into place, your number one thing is the rear cinch. The rear cinch. Now, we want the rear cinch straight up and down. The front cinch is going to be at an angle simply because of the way the mule has an hourglass belly toward the shoulders. So if it's at an angle on that front cinch because you over tightened it, That's the only reason you're going to have my saddle be dry in the front or create white spots is because you over tighten that front cinch. If you look at any of my videos, you'll see that front of my saddle, the front of my bars are up off that back anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch. That's right. So going back to this, adjust your breeching and your saddle according to your train. It's just like when you're pulling a horse trailer. You don't leave that actuator on the same place you did when it was on flat ground. You get up into Colorado, you get up in some of these mountains in Arizona, you're going to need more braking in that trailer back there in the back. So you adjust the breeching so that you can help the saddle from going down a hill. And like on your trailer, on your horse trailer, your mule trailer, you adjust the brakes so that it helps hold the truck back.
Very good. Great question. Thank you very much, Jay. Steve Brady watching from Delta, Colorado, 100 degrees. Let's talk mule. I like the way you think, Steve Brady. Christina says, hi, Steve. I have a yearling mule who is otherwise really healthy and has a good appetite and gets well fed, but I can see his ribs. Is that normal in young growing mules?
So I love seeing ribs. Show me ribs any day. Yes, much rather see ribs than I would see a bunch of fat pockets across right where your saddle's setting. Little rib is good, folks. Just like a little rib is good on you and I. Yes. So, yes, don't worry about it. Just feed him accordingly and just watch it. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking.
You said you'd love seeing ribs any day.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going to eat some ribs tonight when I get home. Yeah.
Good. You're okay seeing some ribs on the mule?
Yep, absolutely. I want to see ribs on a mule. That tells me that I'm not overfeeding my mule. Okay. Now, that also tells me that riding that mule, my saddle is going to set a lot better on a mule like that as a fat mule. Okay. Now, think about it, folks. You're trying to get into a 28 pant when you should be getting into a 34. Yep, that's what it's like. So, absolutely, I want to see a little rib. Congratulations.
Right on, right on, right on. Jacob is watching. Jake from sunny Minnesota. Question: can you halter train a Hinny the same manner as a mule? And are there any benefits to having a Hinny over a mule?
The only way you know if it's a Hinny is DNA testing, period. It is not from the ears. It's not from a smaller head. It's not from a smaller nose. It's not from a smaller butt or anything like that, folks. Only way you're going to tell. A Hinny is still a mule. Okay? A mule is still a mule. The difference with a Hinny is his mother. I get that part. Mother was a donkey. Father was a horse. Now, it's very, very, very unusual for a horse to breed a donkey. But if there's nothing else around, I'm sure you took advantage of it.
All right. Bill is sharing to Mules of Ohio and Indiana. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Heavy rain last night, right after the wheat harvest. Corn and soybeans are going to go strong after the spring drought, 80 degrees and cloudy. Good to hear from you. Judy says, I went to see a mule. Sounds like the start of a book. She did not like her feet touched, which seems to be a long-term issue. And of course, the feet have not been trimmed in about a year because the farrier told the lady she did not need it. She got a calming gel just to trim her the last time, which she said worked. I know from going to Steve's clinics that she will need corrective shoeing on her back feet for a long time. The mule was friendly and easy to be caught, but once caught, she seemed irritable with anything I did or with anything the lady did. The lady was afraid of her. She was supposed to be she was supposed to be broke to ride, but Mule was too full of nonsense to be rode on the day I looked at her. She was a brat. The lady was a total pushover. I should walk away, but the price is right. Any thoughts?
Is a hospital price right? An ER visit? Leave the mule where it is. Forget about the price is right. Forget about that. It don't cost you any more to take care of a mule that wants to spend time with you compared to a mule that doesn't want to spend any time with you. Look, if you got a mule with that kind of a disposition, say goodbye. Count it goodbye. I can't tell you the number of people that I know right now that the price was right. It was cheap. No, man. Just because the price is right, buy disposition first. Now, I don't do this very often, folks. And you'll always hear me say, I will not tell you where to go buy a mule. I will give you the information, and I will look at mules for you, but I will not tell you, go buy a mule so-and-so place or so-and-so person. Okay? I don't. Here's why. Let me just give you an idea why. Here I am at a clinic, and I would bring my mules, and I would ride a mule, and everybody would see that mule work. And I would set up and say, this is what this mule can do. You'll see that mule side pass, turn on the forehand, pick up all 4 feet, jump in the trailer. I mean, everything just right. All within a 10-foot circle. I could tell that mule had it. You could tell that mule has the foundation. Not crossing a river, not having a 10-year-old girl ride it, not 40 trips to Colorado, okay? Not none of that stuff. But what you saw in less than 30 minutes in around about a 10-foot circle is that animal has a good foundation. Now, after I did that, and everybody's seen the animal do everything I said, I'd have somebody come down and say, come on down, ride this mule. Who's been riding 25 years? Come on down. You climb on that mule. Dave, 15 minutes later, looked like that mule wasn't even trained. That's what it looked like. Why was that? We just saw that same mule do everything I asked it to. But why? The person did not know how to communicate with my mule, period. Now, I have a person that contacted me, and I don't do this, but I'm going to give you all this information. And if somebody wants to contact Larry Goble, Goble, he is in Meadow of Dan, Virginia. And I really want to help this guy, and I'll tell you why. And like I said, I can be a softie sometimes, but he has contacted me. He went in to have gallbladder surgery and ended up with lymphoma cancer. That's kind of tough. Here he is. He's got his dream mule. He bought a brand new saddle and gear from me. He's got all that new, and he needs to sell this mule. He knows that he's got a long haul to get and battle this cancer, lymphoma cancer in the gallbladder area. And so he's got this mule for sale. He's kind of told me some nice things. Good looking mule. I'm looking at pictures now. 6 years old. And on from there. Now, do I know anything about this mule other than what he told me? No. One of the things I do see is that, as per usual, you see this a lot, big old white spot on the left shoulder from an improper saddle fit. But here's phone number, 520-891-2986. Now, I know nothing about the mule. I know nothing about Mr. Goble other than he is one of my clients. He has my brand new saddle, tack, full tack, everything. He bought the mule of his dreams, and now this cancer has knocked him down. And so, like I said, folks, I don't usually try to tell you about a mule, but there you are. If you're interested, there you are. Give him a call. Visit with him.
What's his name one more time?
His name is Mr. Larry Goble. Goble. Goble.
Yep.
And he's in Meadows of Dan, Virginia. And he used to live here in Tucson. And phone number is 520-891-2986. Now, Dave, I'm going to send you right now pictures of this mule and the basic information. Like I said, folks, I know nothing about the mule. I know nothing about Mr. Goble. But
Yeah,
here's the
this is
information.
it's not something that we normally do for all
No.
of the reasons why Steve said, but the thing is like special circumstances sometimes give us the opportunity to do special things. And so number one, we just wish all the best to Mr. Goble and his family, and we wish just God's presence. That sort of news can be devastating, and so we just want you to know that you got a mule and donkey community joining with you in prayer, Larry. But then also at the same time, there's an opportunity here. Steve's got this photo, just sent it to me. Let me bring it up here. Give me a second. We'll make it happen, Captain. Here we go.
I've added this man to my prayer list. I've added him and his doctors and this sort of thing. You see the white spot on the left shoulder. That was before my saddle. That's because somebody over tightened the front cinch and used an incorrect saddle. Most of the time, a horse saddle. But folks, that's a good looking mule.
There you go, folks. Put the content in the comment section there. You can contact Larry, and at this point, it's a you and Larry conversation. And if you have any questions, we'll take a look at the pictures, but we don't make recommendations on mules or donkeys. But we'll tell you what we see, and Steve shared with you what he saw. So all our best there. Myra says, I took your comments 2 weeks ago to heart by not expecting and equating accepting petting and coming when called to as respect and trust. Remember, Myra had been saying, is respect and trust. So she took those comments to heart a couple weeks ago. So very good. Glad to hear that, Myra. David Pingelli, Coffee by David, 92. I didn't think you were that old, David. Human. But a beautiful day here in Manchester, Georgia. Bruce is watching from New Braunfels, Texas. Very hot and dry. Let's see here. Says, nice cup, Steve. Steve, I didn't notice. What cup you got? Oh, there you go. That's right. Nice cup. Yes, it was Bruce's boy that did it, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, I've got a couple different favorite cups that some people made for me,
How fun. Carla's watching. Hey, guys. Sunny and warm. Fires burning all around us. Got to keep these critters safe. Northern British Columbia. That's right, Carla. Good to have you here. All our best to you and to your countrymen. Christina says, thank you. Let's see here. I think this was Steve says, on the rear cinch position, how about having it farther back towards the flank past the fat part of the belly, Canada style? You ever heard of that?
Yes, I have. Matter of fact, I'm going to send you let's see, that's an email over here, I think. Let me look. I was going to send this to you because the guy sent me a...
Yeah, first and foremost, while Steve's finding that, you'll see a lot of folks that will be riding with one cinch. And, that may be what they do with horses, but with the mule and with the donkey, the way that it works is you want two cinches. You want loose in the front, snug in the back. And there's a sweet spot for each of those cinches. And the way Steve has designed his saddles is the cinch straps, the latigos that come with the saddles. They're attached to the rings that are in the precise location to put that cinch right in the sweet spot. Now, you need to have your saddle in the right location on the back of the animal. And a lot of folks have a tendency to put it much further up on the neck of the animal than they need to. And so when you get a saddle from Steve, you send a picture, he'll tell you how much further to move it back or if you've got it back too far. But once you have it in the right position, you're at a place right there to work the cinches in the exact location where they're meant to go. Steve, did you find that picture?
No, I didn't. And it was a guy that contacted me and said, boy, he really enjoyed the saddle. He tried riding his mule without a breeching and breast collar, and it didn't work. And he sent me 2 different pictures. And as you know, I'm no good on these computers, but I'm not finding it right now. showed a picture of and the cinch was back too far. Folks,
Mm.
that cinch has to be straight up and down, the back cinch. And that way it holds the saddle correctly. If you have it back there a little bit, the downside is when it loosens up, it'll go right up and create a bucking strap. And that's not a very nice thing to see. When I was in Canada, the Canadians done that. But all of a sudden, the horse would blow up, and kapow, he had a big problem. But I'm not seeing it here. I don't know.
So what do you not like about having that cinch position further back down towards the flank past the fat part?
Well, the bad thing about it, it can create a mule wanting to buck because there's too much pressure behind the rib cage and puts pressure on the ribs and makes them extremely uncomfortable. And it doesn't hold the saddle correctly at all. So and the downside is it doesn't allow the saddle to work correctly. I've tried it. I've been there, done that. Folks, I've tried everything you can imagine to try to keep my mules comfortable. And what I'm using right now that I've used the past 25 years works consistent, and so I wish I could find that picture. I thought I sent it to you, but I can see now I've put it someplace very safe, wherever that is.
Well, while you're looking there, we'll say hello to David Scholl. Hey, Steve and Dave from bright and sunny Dallernil, Queensland. Hey, there we go. I don't think I've ever seen the city there before, so thank you, David. Good to have you here. Tiago is watching Mules and Donkey, part of our history here in Brazil. So there you go, Tiago. Good to have you here. I had a friend, Michel. It was the World Cup, and he would go, Brazil, 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 cheering for Brazil the entire time. So I'm sure Michel, your countryman, would say hello as well. Jim is watching, says, why do Americans wear hats inside? Why do non-Americans wear hats outside? No, we love ourselves some baseball caps. We love ourselves some caps, and I don't know. I just don't think about it. Steve, do you ever think about it?
I don't think about it. I mean, I can take my hat off, But today,
we'll have to get Steve some product and like slick it down, some Dapper Dan hair grease.
Yeah, my hair gets really dry, So
it is Arizona.
It is Arizona. Yeah, so at least I still got hair,
Yeah. Jim, if you got a special hat you want us to wear, send it on by. Judy says, Steve, you are so right. That's all she says. No, I'm just kidding. She says, I should cool my jets and keep looking. There we go. Jim says, I ride bareback with a neck rein. Have done it for 60 years. So do the rest of the family. Saddles are for sissies. Are saddles for sissies, Steve?
Evidently, you're not riding where I'm riding. You go ahead and keep on riding bareback. I'm proud of you. Happy trails.
All right. Very good. Next question here. This one came in over on YouTube. Says, do you have any videos on how to estimate a young mule's finished height? Is there any way to estimate a young mule's finished height, Steve?
Other than, the way we've done it in the past, if we've measured from the center of the knee down to the hairline of the hoof, where the hair comes and meets the hoof line, we've measured there, and that's been fairly accurate, but other than that, it's just kind of a guess,
Awesome. Let's see here. Next question. I'm trying to find it. Okay. Hello from Kelowna, British Columbia. Hey, here we go. Man, almost as hot here as it is in Arizona. My 16.3 mule, Alice, requires a 6-inch bit, according to Steve's very helpful video on measuring for one. Her mouth is pretty much exactly 6 inches wide. Her other bits, which will become Christmas tree ornaments, obviously, are also 6 inches. The bit I am after, the trail riding bit, appears to only be available in 5 inches and 5.5 inches online. What should I do?
Well, we can have a custom-made bit made for you at 6 inches. And when you make your measurement, you can also have a mule with big lips on it, and the jawbone itself is smaller. So you want to consider that. I can have one made for you, but you just have to contact me and we can make arrangements.
Next question comes in from Cheryl. She says, I have twin mules in North Carolina. What is some basic advice on raising them? What would you say? I mean, that's a pretty broad stroke there, but if you've got twin mules in North Carolina, what would you say there?
Well, the main thing is, are we talking yearlings? Are we talking what old are they?
So she doesn't say. This one was one that came in after watching one of our videos, a video from last week, as a matter of fact. So let's say they are.
Yeah, the biggest thing you all can do, if there's number one thing anybody can do with their mule, I don't care how old it is, and that is do ground foundation training, and you cannot do enough. You cannot overdo it. Take the come along hitch and not the halter. Stay away from the halter, folks. Use the halter minimally, but use the come along hitch and teach your mule to stand still and quiet. Walk them around across those barriers and this sort of thing, and you'll have a far better mule. More people should spend more time on the ground than anything else.
Another question or another comment came in here. Says desensitizing is key. In watching one of your videos, do you keep your phone on vibrate while riding your mule or donkey? And the topic of desensitization came up in that video. What do you have to say about desensitizing, Steve?
Desensitizing doesn't work, folks. Okay, you cannot show them everything. I can't tell you how many times that I've been going down the trail and see a rattlesnake, and most of the time my mule just puts it on ignore and goes on by. But once in a while, you'll have some silly mule that says, "Oh, it's a problem." Okay, let me ask you something. If you're going to desensitize, do you have a moose? Yeah, a moose, so that you can desensitize from moose. Oh, wait a minute. Do you have a rattlesnake that you can desensitize to? Oh, I got another one. How about some deer? A herd of deer or a flock of turkeys? Do you have those? You see what I'm saying? You cannot show them everything, expect them to say, "Oh, that's Dave's shrine. It's okay. It's his shrine." No, folks, you need to be the driver. Here's what I'm going to give you an idea. I want you to get in your car and sit down and say, "Okay, car, go." No, you got to start it, right? You got to put it in gear, right? All right, now here's the next thing. Now you say, "Car, take me to grocery store." Does the car know where a grocery store is? No. All right, now go down the road and let go of the steering wheel. Let go of the steering wheel and just say, "Car, stay steady on the road." Now, I know they got new cars that comes out, Dave, that you can do this with now. But anyway, but you can't do it, can you? Folks, you have to ride. You cannot desensitize them and show them everything. Now, at Bishop at the World Championships, here we were at the Grand Canyon. We packed freight on these mules. I mean, these mules were solid mules, packing freight at the Grand Canyon. We took them to Bishop, and they sold us out. You know what we didn't have? 10,000 people screaming and yelling and having fun. You know what we didn't have? We didn't have 10,000 people with a clown shooting off guns and scaring our mules and flashing them everywhere. You know what we didn't have? We didn't have 80 or 100 other animals running around in a pen to try to catch them. So you see what I'm saying? Desensitizing doesn't work. You ride, you learn how to communicate through your hands, through your legs, and through your seat. And keep your mouth shut. You don't use your mouth very much. Talk very little to your mule.
Next question. This one came in from GS. Says, I learned that oats will make a donkey very sick. Is that true?
Oats?
Yeah, oats.
Well, it can make them sick. Yes, it can, because it's too much carbohydrates. If they overeat it, they will founder. Yes, they will. You feed them oats only according to what they are doing. Now, if I'm going to feed oats, I'm going to feed whole oats only because I'm getting ready to hook my donkey up to a cart and drive. So I want him to burn the energy off the whole oats, not crimped oats. All right. Now, the next thing, I'm going to be riding my donkey. So I'm going to feed him whole oats, give him the energy I need to ride there. I only give oats and just enough that they can have. I usually put a morale on their head, a feed bag. I put that feed bag on their head and let them eat all they want while I'm saddling or while I'm harnessing. Once my harness is on, I put my bridle on, we're done eating. Okay. So, no, they don't make them sick unless you overdo it.
Let's see here. Carrie is watching. Hello from Iowa. Barbara says, hi, Steve and Dave. 73 in Sullivan, Missouri. Stormy today and more storms tonight. Lori says, hi, Steve. Think of you guys often. Hugs to you and Susan. Got a comment here. Let's see here. Jane says, happy Independence Day. So she's watching one of our old broadcasts. Cool, cloudy, and 65 degrees in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, which means international. Would the come-along hitch fit a mini mule? I have a 2-year-old who was previously untouched, and I'm using your videos to work with her. Thank you for all your information.
Hey, there's a mosquito. I can put that. Hey, Dave, I can even put my come-along hitch on a mosquito, and it'll work. Yes, sirree. Folks, it will fit everything. You can use it. I've used it on camels. Yes. I've used it on cattle, show cattle. I've not used it on a pig yet. I can tell you that. And but if I want something to lead, my come-along hitch is my go-to.
Absolutely. All right, let's see here. I think we got through all of the questions that we had today. Here we go. I have so let's see. Okay, that's the same question. How do I size a breast, collar, and a Britchen? This one's from Kathleen from South Carolina.
My breast collar pretty much fits all the mules because it's an adjustable strap that goes up through a strap on my pommel. It is not a pulling collar. And when you go on my website and see the breast collars, you can see very well how much different it is. The breeching, you've got two choices, small and large. So if you've got a mule that's under 15 hands, you're going to be using a small. If it's over 15 hands, you're going to be using a large. You could have, like I had my little mule, he's only 13 too, and I still have even used a large on him. The reason is, folks, is that a lot of times I am riding different animals. So I may ride one afternoon a 16-2 mule, and the other afternoon my 13-2 mule. Okay, I just adjust the breeching. The only difference is aesthetics, how it looks a little bit, going a little bit farther and stuff. So if you just simply you want to send me a picture of your mule, be happy to look at it for you.
Awesome. Next question. This one came, well, actually, Susan says, thank you for talking about desensitizing. This just happened to me on a solid mule. We just returned from a large mule ride in Shawnee Forest, and we're riding in Michigan on an 18-mile ride. Hikers with huge backpacks came up on a narrow hill trail and surprised my mules and other riders' mule too. We got off trail best we could. So there you go. Okay. You work at a zoo, okay? You got semi-trucks. You've got bears. You've got gorillas. You've got snakes. Do you have hikers with backpacks walking up behind you? You don't know what's going to throw these animals off one day to the next. Steve, I was reading other questions. Did you talk about Stacy and that piece of grass that had grown up? Or was it Pearl?
No.
Yeah. So if I remember, was it Stacy?
Yep.
Yeah. So Susan's Steve's wife, Susan, her mule Stacy had ridden this path dozens, multiple dozens, hundreds of times. No issue. No issue. No issue. One day, all of a sudden, a little piece of grass was grown and flopping in the wind, and all of a sudden, you would have thought that it was a semi-tractor trailer coming right up behind them. Am I remembering it correctly?
Well, basically, it was like this. We had a stump that was about a foot in circumference around, and we had a gate we went through every day. Same gate, same stump. Stump had been there for 100 years. But one day, this little weed had grown up, and it was about 3 inches long, and the wind was catching it just right. It was just doing just enough like that, and it made her jump. Okay, here's another example. Dave, I know you've run into this. Here my wife is in the kitchen. She's in her element, and she's working away, you know, and she knows I'm in the house, and she's working away, and she's got her blindfolds on, so to speak, and all of a sudden I come in and say, honey, she goes, ah, okay. Now, it just caught her off guard. That happens, okay? Same thing with your mule, folks. Your mule can get caught off guard. It's you, the rider. Now, of course, not everybody does this, but people walking do not have the right-of-way over equine. They're to get off the trail and to talk and this sort of thing to you as you're going by, but not be quiet, not look like a leopard, okay? And so it really, 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 I know not everybody goes by it, but like at the Grand Canyon, the mules are over on the canyon area, and the people are on the wall side, and the signs everywhere that says mules have right of way over people. Okay, so, and I know not everybody follows that, I'm sure, because you got a lot of people who don't understand equine, but you're right. I've gone down that trail to Grand Canyon, rode good solid mules, and people with backpacks would come by, hundreds of them. And all of a sudden, one backpack, one person just rung, and kapow. Yep, that person scared my mule, okay? And that's understandable. So it happens. Folks, you cannot take flight and fright out of these animals. That's the way God built them. He did that because they're the bottom of the food chain, and flight and fright kicks in so that they know how to get away from a perceived problem.
Diana says, my donkey drops her head when wearing the come-along rope, which loosens the whole thing. What am I doing wrong?
Your timing, okay? Your timing. If that donkey dropped his head, why did you let him? Try to get your timing quick. Now, it's the same thing, folks. Here you are, the mule scared to death of something. It's your timing to get the mule lined up with the problem. Same thing with this lady with this donkey. Okay? When it drops his head, your timing was not correct. As soon as that mule looks to the right, or that donkey looks to the right, or that mule looks to the right or left, bump it. If it starts to drop down, bump it. Because now what it's doing, it found a way to get away from you, and you're not quick enough. Your timing is not there. So fix it before it becomes a problem, okay?
Let's see. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota. 79, sunny and beautiful. Let's see. Susan says, our trails are the same. Equine have the right of way, but sometimes you have to do whatever is safest. Ain't that the truth? Got a question here from Jerry. He says, I noticed on the mule with his nose down, the tie strap that goes to the girt from the martingale is not ran into the breast collar. It hangs loose. Is that what you want to do?
You can do it both ways. Notice on my breast collars that there is a ring that you can put it through. Okay. And I've ridden that breast collar and that martingale for years. Okay. It's a wonderful tool. I use it crossing water, in snow, going through brush, and we go through brush. Folks, when you see me out here, I'm in full leather. full leather, okay? And we go through some tough stuff. So there's a ring on my breast collar. Put that adjustable strap through that ring, and that'll help keep it up.
Next question. Hi, Steve and Dave. 80 degrees and sunshine here in Kansas. I have Steve's Packer saddle and Buckeroo saddle. Is the rancher saddle built on the same tree as the Buckeroo?
Every saddle uses the same tree, i.e. same bars. Now, your rancher saddle is a slick fork saddle. So the front of the pommel looks like this rather than this. Okay, here's the horn right here in the middle. So the only difference is that slick fork saddle has a narrower pommel.
All right, let's see here. Diana says thank you. Steve, I think we got through all of the questions from this week. I'm just double checking. Yeah, that's it. That's everything for this week. So, folks, thank you for hanging out with us, spending a little bit of time. We appreciate it. Stay cool wherever you are. To all of our friends in Canada and in the areas where the fires are at, and our friends in the Northeast U.S. where all that smoke is coming, y'all stay safe. Prayers are with you. Also, was it Larry, Steve, Mr. Larry?
Yes.
Yep. Prayers are with him and his family as well. And the information for Larry is in the comment section there. If you want to inquire about his mule along with the tack and saddle he's got, that's there for you to communicate with him and pick it up where we left off. Steve, have anything you want to say before we're all done?
No, that's basically it. Is our country in trouble? Yes, it is. Can it be changed? Yes. It's not up to. Here's the thing, you all, is the Bible is very explicit. It says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." Okay, not is whose self is in the Lord, or whose people, or whose government, whose God is the Lord. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'll keep that all the way through. I'm getting ready. I told Dave I needed a fast release today because, as you all know, I'm a firefighter, and today we're doing fast water training. So if we get somebody out here, Dave, as you know, we can have flash flooding really quick.
Yep.
And get cars hung up in water. And so we're going to be training today for that. So it's one of the reasons I need a fast release. So, hey, thanks a lot, folks. Enjoy. Have a great year. And remember, you make your own world. Give it a try.
All right. We'll talk to you later.